record. Recording in progress. Right, we're live on Facebook. Let me just double check. I think we are. So by now. Oh, we are live. Oh, this is good. Hopefully people are seeing something other than a black screen. Anyway, if not, I've recorded it, so it'll be fine. Okay, so hi Celeste.
Hi.
I said this week, because I'm launching the next Declutter Your Finances course, so I said that this week I would talk to some ex participants, that's the wrong thing, and we'll talk to people who'd already done the course. So when we did it for the first time in March, April-ish, let's call it April, when we did it in April, you were on that first course, so just thought we'd ask you a few questions, and I can't unfortunately see if anybody's got any questions. So I don't know, hopefully I'll be able to look in a minute. So first of all, I just want to ask, what made you do the course in the first place?
Right, so I've known you for many years.
A long time, yes, we'll not say quite how long.
We won't say how many years. And I've been on the group for a long time. The group has been, even though I've not had any I've not had any decluttering consultancies with you, I've learnt so much from the group, and just from knowing you over the years and seeing what you've done with your life and trusting you. So that was one of the big things that I figured, that if I was going to learn anything of anybody, it would be somebody like yourself. And say the group has been fantastically helpful, so I figured this would be as well.
Yeah, okay. So as we went through the course, because when we did the course, it was a 5-week course last time. Were there any surprises, any light bulb moments that you had?
For me, the big light bulb moment was my change in mindset, because I had always, for many years, I struggled with my money. Didn't have a very well-paid job, and I was the only income earner in the family, and it was tough going quite a lot. Ended up in some debt, managed to clear myself out of that debt, but it was still sort of living hand to mouth and struggling and not affording any luxuries, often having to ask for help from family, which nobody wants to have to do.
No, and I've been there, and I know how that feels.
Yeah. And then over the last sort of 3 years, actually, I've got a decent job with the NHS, and I've got another job as well. So suddenly money, it was coming in and it was great, but I felt, if I ever spent money, I felt guilty, because I was so used to not having money, that I didn't really have much awareness of what money I'd got, where it was. Even though I knew I was building savings, I was too scared to then spend any of it. And when we did the mindset thing, I then started looking at, actually, what money have I got? Where is it? How much am I earning? What are my outgoings? And suddenly it was like, actually, I can afford to spend money on things. I can afford to treat myself, which whenever I'd sort of bought myself something, I then had a feeling of guilt afterwards. I thought, well, I shouldn't have spent that. I should have saved it. I shouldn't have this thing. And so I used to go through sort of splurges where I'd spend too much, and then just not allowing myself to spend anything. And my big concern was, I could see that affecting the kids, because I've got 2 kids, and when they started saying, oh, well, we can't afford that, and actually we could afford it, and my daughter saying, oh, I can't afford to get new clothes, and I was like, well, yeah, I can afford to get you new clothes. So I knew that I needed to do something so that I wasn't impacting them, and the mindset thing changed that completely, that now I don't have that guilt, because I know what money I've got, and I know where and
I think it's also important to have a plan of knowing where your safety is, so that you've got funds in case something happens. And I think one thing that I had to learn was, again, I was in a very similar situation, in that I've never had money growing up, and when I left home, I never had money again. And there was days where I panicked about how I was going to feed my cat, not me. I'd starve, it was fine, but the cat, when I remember getting I'd got the mortgage, and I'd split up from my partner, and I'd had to reapply for the mortgage in my own name, and I had to convince the bank that they would let me have it, and then I needed a cooker, and I couldn't get credit for a cooker. I was like, I've got a house and I've got no kitchen, I've got no food, like I've got no food, I've got no cooker, what on earth? And having to ask my mum to go into her savings, that, you know, she hasn't got a lot of money, and to go into her savings to be able to buy a cooker so that I could eat was one of the lowest points of my life. But then when things got a bit easier, I kept thinking, well, when I get to this amount, I'll feel safe. When I get to that amount, I'll feel safe. But I know just the way my brain works is that there's going to be no number that would make me feel safe. So, like, you know, one of those things where, oh, if I won £100,000, it'd be like, yeah, it's not enough to do that, is it? Or you go, if it's won £1 million, it's like, oh yeah, but it's not enough to do that, is it? And you think, and you could keep on going, like, what am I going to wait for? The Euro Millions, 33 million or something, and then I'll feel safe. And actually, you can't live your life like that. You need to know what your numbers are for your safety. And then, like you were saying, you don't feel guilty then, because you know that you're safe, almost.
And I think that's it, because you talk about pots of money and how much you actually need. I did have savings, but it was that guilt of, well, I can't spend them because I might need them, but there was never actually, well, what would you need them for and how much do you actually need? And because that's covered, and then I looked back and looked at things like, oh, actually, I'm all right. I've got those safety nets, but it never felt enough because, like you said, you always feel like there needs to be more. Whereas now I have those pots of money, I have those emergency funds. So anything extra that I get is a bonus, and I don't have to feel guilty about spending that. If like we go on holiday and I was like, right, we'll have a week where we just spend money and I'm not going to worry about what we spend because we're on holiday and that's what we do. And I know as well. Yeah, and I know as well, because of what I've saved over the last, since doing the course, I know that actually by the next time we go on holiday, we can do the same thing because I've already saved the money for it.
It's very freeing, I think.
Massively.
Yeah. That weight being lifted of being able to enjoy something and not worry about it. And I know for me personally, when I took my parents to Centre Parks, and my mum knew how much it cost, and my mum at the beginning, when I said I was booking it, was like, you can't spend that, you can't spend that, you can't spend that. But from my point of view, it was the only time where we would have an actual family holiday where we would all be together, and for me that was worth it. And then later on, as she kind of got used to it and thought it was nice, she slowly came around to the fact that actually it was okay. And I explained that this isn't impacting on me being able to afford if something goes wrong. It's not my it goes wrong money, this is my spending money, this is my enjoying money, you know. And to have that weight lifted of enjoying without guilt is such a big thing, I think. So yeah, for me, I was going to say the question was about surprises, like light bulb moments, but for me it was when we did the course, because it was the first time I'd ever run it. I did that first module because I knew it was so important that we did the mindset work first. And I kind of, at the end of it, I was kind of thinking, oh God, I hope they don't think that like that was an hour of me just talking absolute twaddle and that it was actually useful. And then like the next week, and all the comments started coming on the Facebook, and I was like, oh my God, that was so helpful. And then I remember you saying about the fact that you were upset about your kids saying we can't afford like new clothes, and you were like, oh, actually we can. And how it had changed, and I was like, yes, this is working, it should be. And I felt such a relief. So that's why we're doing the course again, because
the last thing I wanted was to pass on my own anxieties about money to my kids and have them worrying about spending things when actually there was no need for them. They shouldn't be worrying about those things anyway because they're kids, but there was certainly no need to worry about them because
kids do pick up on how we feel about things.
Yeah, they were picking up on my anxieties around it when actually, I think since then, because my mindset has changed, then they're okay with things as well in such a short space of time. So I said earlier, we went on holiday, and you still have moments where you think, oh, that's a lot of money. So we went out for a meal that the kids they'd been asking all week to go to this place because it's a fantastic place. If you're ever in Amble in Northumberland, the fish shack, the food is incredible. So they've been asking to go all week, and we went and we had an amazing meal, and the portions were huge. And then the bill came, was like, oh, that was more than I expected.
And the bill was also huge.
It was more than I expected, but actually, we've all had a fantastic meal. We've all enjoyed it, and they've been looking forward to it all week. So I'm not going to begrudge that money.
And it was an experience.
Yeah, it was worth it, totally.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. So how do you think this has affected you, like moving forward? Like, what kind of? I was saying one thing I think I ought to say before we go into that question actually is that knowing you the way I do, that actually you were actually quite clever with money before we started. So it wasn't a case of that you were in masses of debt.
No.
It wasn't anything like that. So how do you think it's affected you moving forward?
I'm much more savvy. So I would before, I mean, I've got savings, I've got shares, I've got investments in various places, but it was just sort of money that I'd put in place and not really thought about what I was doing. I've got a mortgage, and I had been in debt, but I'd cleared the debt. So I've always been very frugal. I've been brought up to be very frugal, and always that you don't buy anything unless you can afford it. So I never wanted to get in debt. So I've always worked really hard to make sure I didn't. But going forward, like I said, I used to have splurge and save, where I'd spend loads of money and then feel bad. Whereas now I don't feel bad about things, but also I don't splurge. I think about what I really want and wait a little bit. And if I still want it at the end of the month, then I'll buy it. So I've changed that way, and that's saved me a lot of money. But also, I never felt before that I could afford to pay off the mortgage. Whereas when I sat down and put everything on a spreadsheet and worked it all out, I realized I can afford to overpay the mortgage. So I've been talking about that for about 10 years and now I'm doing it. So it's things like that, but I've also saved a lot of money. So I'm much more aware of what money is, and I've got goals for things. So I've got a goal to pay off the mortgage. Won't do it before the kids are at uni, but I've got an end point. I even know the date. I didn't know the date before when my mortgage would be paid off. I do now.
We have to say about your little spreadsheet that we all adore, by the way. Please tell us about your little spreadsheet that you've got.
So I've got a spreadsheet which has on exactly how much I pay every month. So it goes month by month of what I pay, how much I have left to pay, and then the interest. So I know that my mortgage is due to be paid off in June 2037. However, because I'm overpaying it, I've got another column which shows how much sooner I'll pay it off. And I've worked out roughly the interest rate. And every time I get like a bonus from work, I pay a bit more off mortgage, and I can see how many months fewer. There's sort of a gap now of about this much between when I actually pay it off and when I was due to pay it off. And it's such a bonus to look at.
Can I just say that was not part of the course, this spreadsheet?
No.
Actually, for some people, paying off the mortgage isn't the right thing to do, but for you it is.
I do love a spreadsheet.
I love a spreadsheet too, but I really love your spreadsheet. I think it proper makes me smile when we saw that. So how much money do you think you've made only because of the things you've learned on the course?
Okay, so in the first 2 weeks, because of the things that we did, we looked at money mindset, and then we looked at where we were spending money. So I sat down and got all of my bank account out and looked at, right, what am I spending my money on, just bills wise? And then it's like, well, why am I spending that? Why am I doing that? Why have I got that thing? So realized there were a lot of things actually I could cancel. And then when I worked out how much that had saved me over a 12-month period, that worked out at £600 over 12 months that I saved just by cancelling and renegotiating things. But then because of the change in my mindset as well, and because of the fact that I realised that I can afford to save things and I'm not splurging, and I'm aware I'm putting things into better bank accounts as well, which get me more interest and a little bit harder to get at. So I have to think a little bit more by getting them out. I think since April I've saved at least £1,000, but I've also spent money. So I've because I've not felt guilty.
It's not been scrimping and saving to save 1,000. You've enjoyed your life and saved 1,000.
Yeah, and I've probably enjoyed my life more because the things that I've bought, I've thought about more. So I've not been down the middle aisles in Aldi buying rubbish. I've thought about, do I actually want this? Why am I buying it?
I know one of the things that people asked me was, why are you doing a Declutter Finances course when it's not about selling you clutter and it's not really decluttering? Actually, it kind of is, because you're decluttering your mindset, you're decluttering old routines. And like, I know I was very guilty of the big splurges and then not spending anything for such a long time because I knew I was skint again. And then things would ease up, and then I'd have another splurge, and I'd still end up with a wardrobe.
Splurge makes you feel happy.
It does, until you realise you've still got a wardrobe full of stuff that you still won't wear. So, but whereas now, because of the way that my mindset's changed with money, and because of how everything has changed with money, now I don't feel guilty about buying more expensive singular items, because I know that I need those things and I really want those things, and I know I can afford those things, as opposed to kind of wanting them but they'll do, buying them just because, and buying 5 in each different colors, and then having massive and enjoying that buzz, don't get me wrong, really feeling fabulous when I get back to my car from Meadowhall with like loads of bags. But then the next day, looking at my bank account and seeing the money go out and going, oh no,
why did I do
how
that?
many more weeks have I got until payday? What am I going to do now? Okay, so I'm just going to have to go to my mum's and get some beans from her so that I can eat for the next week or so, and then counting down again, thinking about I need to be more careful next time. But still going to my wardrobe and thinking, that buzz is not there anymore because I still haven't got what I wanted. Whereas now I can go and buy something, it's wonderful.
The first quote yesterday about the when we're discussing about things that we'd said about the course was, what weird voodoo. I forgot I'd said that to you, but what weird voodoo.
Put it in anonymous because you actually commented about the course, and I didn't have time to ask your permission, but I knew it would be all right with it.
Oh, you're more than welcome to say that. But yeah, for the 2 months after the course, it got, and I transferred money out at the beginning so that I've got a buffer, but at the first 2 months at the end, after the course, at the end of the month, I still had money in my bank account, and that hasn't happened for so long. It's usually sort of like I'm down to pence, so I'm transferring money out of savings to top things up. And I'd got more than £10. I've got quite a lot of money. And sometimes it might have only been £20, but sometimes it was £100 odd, which just hasn't happened, because I was thinking more about why was I spending it? What was the value of what I was buying? Did I actually really want things? And because I'd got sort of goals about, well, I want to do this with my money instead, then I was waiting to get things. So it's that sort of drawn out achievement instead. So drawn out gratification.
Yeah, which is the best gratification apparently. Okay, so if someone is thinking about doing the course, what would you say to them?
I would say definitely do it, because I know, like you said, I was pretty money savvy. I had got savings. I did it because I trusted you and I thought it's going to be interesting. I'm going to learn things. But the amount that I've learned has been massive, and how it's affected me and how I feel about money. I feel so much more relaxed and secure about it now. It's not an issue when I go out and buy something, because I know that I've got the money in the bank. I know that I've got the savings. I know it's not going to sort of mean that, oh, right, how am I going to pay the bill? I'm going to have to move money out of savings. It's all there and I know exactly what I've got. So it's given me a lot more security and reassurance in the fact that we're all right. And like I said, the fact that it will affect my children in the fact that they're not worrying about money anymore, which was the really big thing for me, that I didn't want to pass on those anxieties. So yeah, definitely go ahead and do it, because it is massively worth the money. And if you're anything like me, within the first few months, you've already made that money back.
Absolutely, which I think just watching because there's a Facebook group that you have that's closed just for you guys that are on the course, and I think those relationships between everybody was really lovely as well. And as people started posting the little wins in, it was just so nice to see that everybody was gaining from it. In one way or another, and in different areas as well, because everybody's different. So like you already had savings, whereas there were some people that didn't have any savings. There's some people that had money and not got it anymore, and then there was some people like you that had never had it and now kind of been all right, and then there was people that were kind of really struggling full stop and trying to see what they could do. So I think it's quite good. I think the other thing, I think
as well, because I was going to say, because those relationships built, because I feel like I know those people a little bit better now. So the people, although I'm okay for money, I have been in the situation that others were in where they haven't got money. So it was helping them with, right, okay, this is what I did, have you thought about this? So sharing those ideas amongst ourselves, I think, helped, and you feel like you're giving something back to each other.
I do know what the defining moment was, and it was really early on, and it was, I think, do you know what I'm going to say?
Oh, don't know.
Do you remember us talking about coins?
Yes.
That was the defining moment where everybody ganged up against me, because I was saying, why are you saving your 50p's when there were 50p's and £2 coins? And that was just the defining moment for everybody, that everybody was just like, oh my God, this is such a giggle, and we're learning, and we're all on the same page in one way or another. And it was so lovely to see everybody kind of gel and support each other in that way.
I don't think you won the 50p with pictures argument, but
no,
I did get rid of a lot of other stashes of cash. But the 50p's and £2 coins with pictures, I've still got them, and they're not going anywhere. Sorry.
But I know where I'm coming if you ever need any.
Well, that's it. It's similar to the decluttering. You're not going to make us do anything that we're not comfortable with. Yeah, and for me, I like those 50p's and my weird coin collection. I'm keeping them no matter what you say, but I can still save money by not getting rid of them.
Absolutely, and that was absolutely fine with me as well. But yeah, that's the same with decluttering, is it? I don't tell you what to do. I give you options and tell you what I might think about doing, but you don't have to do it if it's not right for you. So if you want to keep your £2 coins, 50p's, you can do that. So I think the other thing to talk about is you were very proactive right from the beginning. So within the first 2 weeks, you'd already really honed in and done your homework. So there's workbooks from each week. But one of the things that we've changed in this course is it's a longer course. It's still the same modules, but before it you get a time management download, which is really helpful. But also there's a gap in between each module. So there's an accountability week. So obviously we go live every Tuesday for the course, so you get an hour on the course, and then the following Tuesday you get an hour where we come on Zoom, or you want to turn your camera off or whatever, and we actually do the work from the thing that you've learned. So you wouldn't even, so I mean, you just did it in your own time, but I know for some people they found it hard to kind of catch up because life's so busy. So one of the suggestions was from the last course that we next time was that we are going to have an hour gap where you've got that time to sit and do, which I think would have been really helpful for everybody last time. So that's why we're doing it this time. So that's the one amendment that we've made this time round. So.
And I think that'll really help people as well, because as well as having the dedicated time, if you're all doing it at the same time, then you can share those ideas live with each other and say, okay, I'm struggling with this. What ideas
what else have you got, or what did you say, or you tried this? And
because certainly when it came to the first mindset one, it took me a few nights to sit down and think, well, what is she getting at? What kind of things do I mean? And I got there. And I think with the mood board type thing as well, the vision board. I'm not quite sure what the vision board. Yeah, that's it. I'm not quite sure. And I knew what I wanted as a vision, but it was about how you wanted it laying out, and realizing that actually you didn't mean lots of pretty pictures, because I haven't got time to do that. It was just having a list of, right, what do I want to do with my money? What do I want my life to be? If there's changes in my house, what are those changes? And so I did it as a list, which worked.
Because give you different ideas what works for different people. And when they saw that in the group, they were kind of like, oh, that's not what I thought. I thought it was more like tear beach pictures out of magazines and stick it on, because that's what you know, and to see everyone putting their own kind of take on it. And I know someone did a really lovely I remember who it was, I don't want to say the name, did a really lovely graph with increments on it, because they wanted to have this holiday, and that was really simple but so effective. And I was like, you know what, that's such a good example of what a vision board can be like and work people, that it was great to see little light bulbs pinging on and being a bit different, and really having time to think about what you really want out of life, because we've only got one of them, so you've got to make it count. And I think that's the one thing I kind of want to almost shake people and go, you've only got one life, do this course, put everything into practice, make it work for you, and then come out the other side and just see how different it can be, and it doesn't have to weigh you down, and that it can be better, and you can enjoy lovely meals with your family and not feel guilty, and kids can buy what they want.
Still bored, but not feel guilty.
And you've got the added benefit of the lovely James, our independent financial advisor coming in, bless him. So, you know, we've got him coming in.
And his football.
So, you know, you've got that pensions support, you've got the investment support, you've got all those kind of things like that you can ask questions about. So if there's anything that you don't know, because we had a lot of questions about pensions and mortgages, and there's a lot of, because finance tends to be, I went to a seminar the other week with a financial advisor type person, and his example was read the Financial Times. Now, I've read the Financial Times, and I was like, do you know what? I don't understand half the words they're even saying. I would never have invested in stocks and shares before because I didn't understand them. Whereas now I have. And you just think, and I've invested in gold now. I would never have thought in a million years of all these different things that were possible, because finance and all those kind of things just seem so complicated and confusing to someone like me who, you know, my idea of like thinking about finances is looking at my banking app and see how much money I've got in my account, and going to the Lidl app and seeing if I've got any coupons. You know, that's my idea of finance.
And to learn about stocks and shares and things, it takes time. And if you're anything like me, I've got 2 jobs, 2 kids. I haven't got time. The first time I get to sit down, I did actually, because I'm putting money into savings, it's a lifetime ISA, so I have to do things by move the money then into shares and invest. So I was doing it last night, but it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just going, it's like, oh, they've got an interesting name and they don't deal in anything unethical, we'll go with that one. Because I don't have time to invest. So do they deal in anything ethical and or unethical, and do they look like they're going to go bust?
I think that's the financial equivalent of betting on a horse because you like the name, isn't it?
Yes. So I am a little bit more savvy than that now, but it's like you said, I don't have the time to read. If I wanted to do it really well, then I would have to read the Financial Times and things like that, and I haven't got time. So
we'd have an actual financial advisor who would do it all for us, and we'd have a broker or something, you know.
But I haven't got the money to do that either. So having that access to James, who gave me some good hints and tips of what to look for, that was definitely helpful.
Okay, well, I think we've rambled enough, but thank you so much for coming on and being totally honest and transparent about it all. And is there anything else that you want to say that we've not covered that you'd like people to know about the course?
I'd just say, because it's going on the group, if anybody has got any other questions, then just ask on the group. I'm more than happy to tell you about what I've learned.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, thank you so much, Celeste.
It's okay. Lovely to speak to you.
And you, lovely. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.